guys having a great day. Appreciate you joining me here. So I've got a little drive time on my hands this morning, so I figured I would record a video while I'm driving. Have a little conversation with you guys. Talk about a topic that I've kind of been thinking about over the past few months, I guess. So what I have learned so far, my first 18 months of YouTube, year and a half since I released my first video. I've been thinking about doing this for a couple years. It took me a few months to kind of convince myself to start doing this. But basically, so what have I kind of picked up on? What have I learned? To try to give you guys a little bit of information, help some people out, give people an idea of what to expect. So this is not going to be some pessimistic video. This is just going to be real. I'm just trying to pass along information. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of doing this. I just want to pass along what my experiences are. So first and foremost, I'm just a small creator. I just have a small channel. I don't have a big budget. I have a full-time job, so that pay my bills. This is not my full-time gig. You know, some of these guys that do this creating YouTube stuff have built themselves up, and maybe they're doing it full-time now. Maybe it's always been their full-time job. But that brings to light. So my original goal for this channel was to hopefully be able to monetize my channel and help supplement this hobby of mine, because that's all this is to me right now. It's just a hobby. I was hoping to monetize the channel, and it would help my hobby, help pay for maybe a few things I wanted to buy, a few investments, because whenever you're doing workshop stuff, woodworking stuff, there's a lot of overhead. Tools are expensive, workshops are expensive, just everything's expensive. So I was hoping to basically get a channel started and eventually help with my hobby. Maybe turn it into a business. I mean, let's be real. Who wouldn't want to work for themselves, be able to afford to work for themselves, and this be an extra line of income? So let's define what that word monetize your channel means. Monetization. Is that saying right? Anyway, need a little bit more coffee this morning. So YouTube provides a platform for you to be able to make videos. It's free. They don't charge you anything, because they are mining your videos. They are taking your stuff that you make, and they are hoping that people will want to watch it, and basically using it almost like, you know, TV. So they sell time to companies that want to put commercials into your videos, and they get paid. And then eventually, if your channel is monetized, you will get paid. So for those who are not creators and have never gone through this, and they don't exactly know what all this still means, is that you don't, right when you first start a channel, it's not monetized. You have to build your channel up. You have to develop subscribers, which is basically, you know, in today's day and age, if people like your channel, they can subscribe to it, and they'll get notifications, or, you know, they'll be one of your followers, kind of like, depending on what social platform you're talking about. Also, part of the deal is that you have to have a certain number of watch hours. So they track how many of your videos have been watched, how long they have been watched for, and it creates this timer or tracker, and they mine this information. And the reason they do this is that way they can tell whether whatever you're making, the videos they're making, people are willing to watch them and want to watch them, so they can sell that information to companies that are willing to put commercials, so they know that you're a worthy risk to put commercials in. And that way, you know, a candy commercial or a potato chip commercial or a insurance commercial or whatever gets put in your video, and then they pay YouTube to do that, and then they eventually would pay you. So, in turn, that's what monetizing your channel means. It's not automatic. And to be exact, as of right now, the time that I'm making this, because I kind of feel like it might have changed in the past. I can't prove that, but right now you have to have 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have 4,000 view hours to start your monetizing. And then I would assume that there's an algorithm at that point that you're probably getting paid a certain amount for however many view hours that you're getting past that. I have no idea, honestly. I'm not sure, but that's what my assumption would be. So I knew this wasn't going to be easy. I knew it was something that you're going to have to work at. I knew there was going to be a little bit of overhead involved. And I'm not worried about that aspect, and honestly, it doesn't frighten me. It's not scared me away. Like I said, I've been doing this now for about 18-19 months, and I still plan on continuing. I actually have tons of videos already recorded that I haven't released yet. I've got a series, and then I'm hoping I've also got a list of like probably 20 video ideas in my head, things that I can make. Because if you're a creator, you're looking for that. You're looking for that gold nugget. You're looking for that video that somebody is going to search for using Google's algorithms and all the different stuff out there on the World Wide Web to draw them to your video, and hopefully people will want to watch it. So you're looking for that perfect content, that gold nugget. So I have kind of studied some people's channels, and I don't know that I am planning this correctly, or maybe I'm not thinking about it right. But if you have that gold nugget to begin with, and you jump right out of the box and it sets your channel off, man, that's great. But I haven't found it yet. I've got about 20 channels, or 20 videos, I'm sorry. Most of them are just mediocre. Some of them I'm not been that impressed with, you know, looking at it for myself, being my own critic. It's just stuff that I've made to try to get videos out there to kind of see what happens. It's kind of been a little bit of an experiment, if you will. Also hoping that maybe some of them will take off, kind of learning which ones get more views, which ones get less views, things along those lines, because this is all kind of an experiment. And you have to learn YouTube's algorithms. Like, I mean, you need to make what you want to make and be an individual and be yourself, but you also have to kind of ride that line of, if you're wanting to monetize your channel, you're going to have to kind of mainstream some of your stuff to a point that the people are going to watch it, and that means that they're going to be able to search for it or whatever and find it. So once again, I knew this was going to be difficult. I knew it was going to be a challenge, but I'm still up for it. And once again, let's move on with this a little bit. So I'm going to basically break down being a creator into 3 different topics. Those being the content, whatever you're wanting to film, the editing process, which nobody else thinks about except for creators, and the creators realize that editing is a huge chunk of making videos. It is not easy. It's its own little thing that you have to learn how to do. And if you're not computer savvy, software savvy, there is a pretty good learning curve to it. And then you've got the recording process. So, like with me, I'm mainly going to concentrate on, like, I have a workshop and do woodworking. That's the main thing that I'm going to be recording. Probably do a few other things, but that's the main thing. So, the recording process is not easy either. So if you're trying to get a project done, let's just say I'm wanting to build a table, and I'm wanting to actually build this table, but I thought, well, I'll record it while I'm doing it. The recording process becomes cumbersome to you actually making the project, if that makes sense. You're having to position cameras, you're having to mess with different stuff, and worry about lighting or your audio or whatever, and it kind of hinders your project. So it makes your project take longer than what it should, and sometimes, you know, that's not ideal. So those three things, content, editing, and recording, in my opinion, are the big three that I'm wanting to pass along some of the things that I've learned. So let's start with editing. First off, there is no specific software that you have to use for YouTube. There's all kinds of different software out there. I've tried a couple different kinds, none of them that I really just love, but I've stuck with one in particular, and I've learned how to do it. And mainly I think that's why I've stuck with it, is I've gotten over that learning curve, and I've figured out how to use this software, so I've stuck with it. There's a few other, there's some that are actually on your phone. If you've got like a Apple or iPhone, there's a software, iMovie, that's actually built into it, and it's actually pretty easy to use. The one on the MacBook has a learning curve to it, and specifically with like files. The files are different than with traditional PCs, so it's got a little bit of a learning curve there. But anyway, so editing is it's definitely difficult, especially if you have no experience in it. And editing is actually what will make your video a good video or a bad video. You can turn kind of crap recording material or content into something semi-decent just by being able to be creative and edit it in a certain way. So what do I mean by editing? So editing, I'm just basically talking about the pure aspects of editing. Cropping, visual effects, audio, splicing a video, adding music, adding images, adding text to the video, different things like that. That's what I'm talking about whenever I say editing. Now, you know, I've watched a lot of other people's videos. Some people are really, depending on what your content is, and depending on how your channel is, what kind of channel you're running. But some people don't edit very much at all. They just record, they splice a few things, and then they release this stuff. And that's fine. If you've got already got a huge subscriber base and they're not terribly worried about how your content is thrown together, they're just kind of watching, that's fine. But if you're trying to entice people to watch, you know, we're living in a world where people are used to watching things like Netflix and Prime Video and, you know, Disney and all this different stuff. These guys got huge budgets. I mean, they've got multi-million-dollar stuff that they're throwing into. Well, people get used to that, and they get used to watching this quality type product. Well, then they go over to YouTube and you're watching stuff, and then they're like, man, this is hard to watch because this guy's not editing this stuff very well, and the camera's bouncing all over the place, or he's not talking very well, which is another skill involved also, which would probably be my fourth thing, is being able to talk to the camera. It's definitely more difficult than most people make it look. Like, there's some people that are really gifted in being able to talk to the camera and just ramble on and talk, make sense, make everything go together and jive right. But editing is its own thing for sure. So the other part of editing is, it's kind of combination with the recording part, is that if you are planning ahead and you do a good job recording your content, then you will do less editing. Well, the one thing that I've learned is that planning is the key. Not only planning, but you gotta like be motivated that day to make some good content. You know, like whether it's drinking that cup of coffee or whatever that gets you motivated. You not real into it that day to make stuff, I mean, it will show, and I've learned that. But planning is the key, and being prepared for whatever you're wanting to record and to edit. Another aspect of editing is and recording videos is whether depends on what your content is going to be. So I'm going to call this first person versus narrator. So if you've watched a bunch of YouTube channels, you'll kind of see that, like with my kind of channel, with a workshop or woodworking, I'm in the video. So I'm going to call that first person. I'm actually talking to the camera. I'm interacting with the camera. So then there's the other aspect, whether you are creating content and there's no voice, you're just letting people watch what you're doing, or you could be talking over the video, and I'm going to call that narrating. So that's part of the planning. That's part of, you need to kind of be thinking on how you want to do this stuff, how you want to plan this out, how your video is going to be. So that's part of it. That's one thing that I've learned. You need to be prepared to do one of those and how you're going to do that. So, I've had people tell me, well, I prefer watching videos, with one way or the other. To me, it's honestly, talking to the camera is more difficult for me. Narration is easier when you're making a video, in my opinion, but I have not perfected the narration, like the voice. I need to spend some money on maybe some microphone software, some stuff like that, because the ones that I've done, it sounds different. So I don't have like a studio room, a recording room or anything like that, recording studio to do this stuff professionally. I'm doing it in one of my spare bedrooms, or my kitchen, or my my dining room, or my living room, or something like that. So that's definitely one aspect of it. So that kind of dives into the things that you need to have. So my earlier videos that I made, and I can tell looking back at them, and I'm not made it to the level of being some kind of professional channel yet, or a channel that's even made it. And I guess by definition of made it, I haven't been monetized. I think at this point, I've got like a whopping 27 subscribers or something like that. So I guess it just depends on what you call making it. But I haven't defined myself as making it yet. But my earlier videos, at the beginning, I was using them, recording with like an actual picture camera that is able to record videos. I think it records like 1080, which is okay, but I could tell the difference between that and I'm recording now. I bought some better cameras, a little bit better cameras, still not professional level cameras, but they do a little bit better job. So that's one aspect of it, is the overhead, the buying stuff to be able to record your content. I mean, that's basically part of YouTube, is you're going to have to have video cameras to do this kind of stuff. So you got to think about that. People use their phone, and that's fine. Heck, this technology, these phones nowadays, I'm just not good with it. And then you got to learn different aspects and different type of camera work. I'm not a cinematographer, but some stuff records very well up close. Some stuff records, up close and at a distance. Some stuff doesn't record stuff at a distance very well at all. So you have to learn a little bit of it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a perfectionist at it or perfect at it, but you're gonna have to learn a little bit about recording and cameras and how it picks stuff up if you're wanting your channel to be good. Now, if you don't care and you're just recording stuff to throw it on there and you don't really care what it looks like, then you can ignore this video that I'm making here altogether. So touching on I've had people kind of say, well, I prefer this type of video versus this other kind of video, like narration versus first person, let's say. One thing that I told myself getting into this from the get-go is that you are never going to make everybody satisfied with your content or whatever you're making your video. It's never going to happen. I think that's actually one of the problems with the world that we're living in, is everybody's trying to make everybody happy. That ain't ever going to happen. You just might as well just get over that. Do your own thing. Be yourself. Make the content that you want to make. Make it the way that you want to make it. Riding that fine line of hoping that people will want to watch it, and especially if you want to monetize. But you are never going to satisfy everybody. And one of the things that has kind of held me back for a long time with starting a YouTube channel was the comment section. People are just rude. People sitting on their recliners at home that have never made a video in their life and can text and not actually have to interact with you. A lot of these people would never say this stuff to you face to face. They can text it fine, but they would never actually make these comments about this type of stuff in person, because people are being rude. There are a lot of good people out there. There are a lot of good comments out there, and that's good. And my personal response would be just to ignore the negative, and just move on with your channel, move on with your content, continue to be yourself. Don't worry about what all these other people are saying. As of right now, making this video, I have not been able to monetize my channel. So my total income stream from this channel over the past 18 months is zero. Haven't made it yet. Still working on it. Hoping to get that breakthrough video. So once again, the purpose of this video is to try to inform some of you guys, maybe that are like me and are early on or haven't started a channel yet, and things that I didn't think about, that never really came to mind on this is actually going to be part of what I'm going to have to do to create content and put stuff on YouTube. So recording, it's definitely been a learning experience. You know, I've been making stuff. You know, I've had a workshop and I've been doing woodworking my whole life, but I've never had to think about where I'm going to put a camera, where a good camera angle would be, what kind of camera I need to buy, buying different tripods and mounts and different stuff. I've never had to think about that kind of stuff before, so that's been new to me, and it's definitely been a learning experience. And I'm not saying that I have perfected it yet, but I have learned over the past 18 months on what works better, especially when you come to editing it, and then you watch your own stuff and watch yourself on camera, and you can kind of critique yourself. There's definitely been a learning experience, and I've definitely learned a few things. And I can't really tell you what those things are. Those are things you're just going to have to kind of learn for yourself. But definitely something that I have had to work on. I've still do, and I probably will do, is that sometimes if you're doing something and you forget to turn the camera on, or you forget to turn the camera off, or you're busy working on something, you forget to move the camera, the angle's bad, you've got that camera pointed at your back or the back of your head or something like that. This is all part of the learning experience and things that you have to think about, and what I was talking about earlier as far as planning goes. You have to kind of think of this stuff ahead of time and be able to plan what you're wanting to do. Some people, they might watch this and think, he's all wrong, and these guys have maybe got big channels and they're like, that's not how I did it, and that's fine. Some people it's all spontaneous and there's no planning involved at all. Or they're like, okay, let's say like I'm riding in the truck right here, they've just got a camera pointed out and they just record what they're doing, and they've got a good subscriber base, and people are willing to watch it. But mainly the content I'm talking about, and the topics that I'm talking about right now is trying to get your channel going, which entails getting people to subscribe, getting people to want to watch your content. And that's the challenge that I'm facing right now, and that any new content creator is going to face getting started, unless they just happen to walk out of the box with that gold nugget that somehow it fit an algorithm where all of a sudden they've got a ton of views right off the bat, but maybe they don't have a lot of subscribers because they don't create content regularly. So there's multiple algorithms to think about. You might have a video that you've got 3 videos, but one of them's got, 500,000 views. But that doesn't mean those people are going to subscribe to your channel because you've only got 3 videos. That's why YouTube has 2 different requirements as far as being able to monetize your channel goes, is that you have to have a certain number of watch hours, but you also have to have subscribers. So, content. Content, in my opinion, is probably the biggest factor, because this is the reason people want to watch your material or watch your videos. You can have the worst content in the world and do the greatest recording and editing, but people aren't going to watch it, aka my channel so far. So content is probably the most important thing, unless you're just, once again, just throwing videos out there that you're not really caring about monetizing. This video is mainly going to be trying to talk to people who are interested in learning a few things to try to get to the point where they can monetize their channel. So I'm kind of going to break the content down to, like, is it meant to entertain people? Is it just something that the people have scrolled by and it looks interesting? Or are you trying to educate or teach somebody to, like a knowledge gain or something like that? How-to videos, which is mainly what I've been doing. Like, nothing I have recorded, in my opinion, is very entertaining. It is mainly how-to or knowledge-based stuff, workshop, and doing different things. Here. So, talking about content, I've actually got a list that I keep like a notebook with me, and when I think of things that, man, that'd be interesting to record, or if I could do that and record it. So I've got a list, and I've got probably 20 or 30 things on my list that of things that I would like to do, future projects that I'd like to record. And it's all part of the planning project that I was talking about earlier. Some of this stuff just has to be planned out. And I've never had that mindset before when I'm doing stuff. I just kind of spontaneous when I do stuff. And whenever you're wanting to make YouTube videos, a lot of planning has to go into it. You're probably going to have people that watch this that already have a channel, once again, that are like, I never plan, I just do this or that. And that's fine, and I'm glad you made it work. But for me, and maybe for teaching some people that haven't started yet, it's just an aspect to think about. That planning would probably be a good part of your initial mindset on how to get going. So part of the recording part too that I've learned is that having more than one camera can be beneficial. When you're working on a project, the last thing you want to do is to be moving your camera back and forth for different angles, which can, when you watch a channel on YouTube and you're watching these videos, a lot of people that are doing a good job, man. I mean, they're showing like a 2 or 3 second clip of this angle, 2 or 3 second clip of this angle, then back and forth. So you're either moving one camera around a lot, or you've got multiple cameras, and then you're just splicing all these different feeds together at different points, which goes back to the editing process. So I eventually bought a second camera and then a third camera to help with this kind of stuff. Plus, you've got the whole aspect of when you're doing something, you don't want to have to do it twice, to be able to record it twice to, show it from a different angle. You'd be able to record it once with multiple cameras, so you only have to do that task once, if that makes sense. And if you've ever done stuff like, workshop type stuff or whatever it might be, that'll make sense to you. It's kind of like, when you used to watch those programs like Survivor Man or whatever that one was, like Bear Grylls, like, he's walking away from the camera and he's like half a mile away. Well, he's gonna have to turn around and get that camera, so he's gonna have to walk that half a mile to come back and then take off and walk that half a mile again to get where he's going. It's just part of it. So the one thing that I have not done yet, which is kind of appealing to viewers, in my opinion, is aerial views. Guys have drones, they buy a drone, and you get an aerial view, and it kind of is a cool aspect to highlight whatever you're doing or the area that you're in or whatever. So I haven't done that yet. There's obviously a pretty good overhead on that kind of stuff. Maybe that's something that I will do in the future, but I just haven't done that yet. It's something to think about. So other content considerations is, a lot of it just depends on what your channel is, like what kind of stuff you're making, what you plan on making, and once again, hoping for the best when it comes to somebody will search and want to know something about this topic, or they're scrolling through and it hits their, they're scrolling through and then it hits their YouTube's algorithm on their things that are recommended for you. So let's just take, for example, I'm going to record a video on fixing the brakes on my car. So that content, you're hoping that, you're wanting to make this video to educate some people on this is how to do it with this type of vehicle, this your vehicle, this type of thing, this type of situation. But if you're wanting to monetize your channel, you're hoping that people will search for this or come across this to watch it. So, I once again, just the simple fact of me doing this channel and wanting to do this kind of thing, I've done some, just simple research. So you go to YouTube and you type in a word of some type of topic, and you just see how many things pop up. There are thousands of channels, thousands upon thousands of channels out there. So, you type in some word, like for me, whether it's a workshop or woodworking or epoxy or whatever it might be, you're going to get hundreds of things pop up. You're hoping is that eventually YouTube will shove yours to the front because you've had more view time, more subscribers, better content, those kind of things. This is a consideration that I've thought about too, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is just my own viewpoint, my own opinion, but the further we go along, this is 2022, well, there's got to be more YouTube channels now than there were 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's my assumption, because you would think that more people are wanting to make channels and create content, so there's more channels out there. Now there's probably channels that are abandoned, that there's still videos out there lingering, but people are not creating stuff on content for their channel anymore, and that's possible. But what I'm getting at is, the further we go along, there's more competition out there. So that search, that word that you're searching for, that topic that you're searching for, there's more competition. There's more people. Maybe there was 5 that would pop up before, now there's 10, now there's 15. So that's the other thing that you have to think about when you're thinking about your content and everything that you do. There's just more competition. You're trying to do something better than the other person. so they'll want to watch your video versus the other, especially if you're wanting to monetize, because that's what it's all coming back to. That's the whole purpose of this video. So the one part of creating content that I haven't talked about, which probably is very important too, that I just kind of thought of, is thumbnails. So the thumbnail is the image that appears on the YouTube channel as kind of like the link that sends you to your channel. And that image is what you are portraying to people that watch YouTube, kind of convincing them whether they should watch this video or not. So learning about thumbnails is definitely something that I never really thought of. Well, it's not that I didn't think of, it's that I didn't think too much into. But there's a lot of people that will bait a thumbnail and clickbait, and they will bait that thumbnail, and that content might not even be in that video, but they'll get you to at least click on that video and get a couple minutes out of you, maybe a few seconds out of you. But thumbnails, learning how to make thumbnails, which entails like some type of software system to edit some images together, things like that. It's definitely a learning curve. There are certain file sizes that YouTube allows, doesn't allow. It's got to be like kind of within a window, and different aspect views, things like that. So thumbnails is definitely a learning curve. It's part of the process, and what images you choose to put on there is definitely part of convincing people whether they want to or should watch your video or not. One thing to consider is setting a goal. Wouldn't recommend setting an unreasonable goal, but just set a goal. I watched a few YouTube channels that were recommending doing the same thing. There were certain YouTube channels that I was watching that, you know, they were putting a video out almost daily, or every other day, or every third day. So I didn't think it was unreasonable to set a goal to start out with, beginning. One video every 2 weeks, so that would be roughly 26 videos a year. And in a 4-year period, you'd have roughly 100 videos. So if you're going to monetize your channel, you know, that would be somewhere within expectations. I think that you could get subscribers, you'd have a decent library catalog of videos. You know, that would be a decent goal. Now, you can obviously make more, but saying that too, not recommending that you sacrifice quality over quantity, but I do think that you need to make a good video, but I think that you also need to, and I'm not sure what the algorithms are, what YouTube's algorithms consist of, but if you're not making and putting out some videos, then nobody's gonna subscribe to your channel. And I'm not sure once again what YouTube's algorithm is, but I would figure that the more consistently that you are putting videos on your channel, the more likely YouTube is going to throw your channel into the mix of watchable videos. So set a goal. Obviously, I haven't lived up to my goal. It's been 18 months. I've only got about 20 videos put on my channel, so that math doesn't add up. But I will say that I have that many. So what would that be? 26 in a year plus 13, so roughly 40, just shy of 40. So that would mean that I'm shy of 20 videos. So I've got at least 20 videos worth of material recorded, you know, saved on my computer that just haven't been edited yet. Haven't had time to edit it. Life gets in the way, and that's the main thing, reason that I haven't met the goal that I've set, is because life gets in the way. this is not monetized yet, so it's not my main money stream. I have to prioritize my main financial stream to make sure that you know, still paying the bills and getting by, and hopefully this will eventually catch up in the meantime. So at least if you're setting a goal, you've got something that you can, you know, strive for, push yourself for. If you don't set a goal, then, you know, what's your goal going to be? 5 videos a year? Well, that might be fine for whatever you're doing, but if you're going to monetize your channel, that's probably not a satisfactory goal. So anyway, that's something to consider also. So I know I've rambled on, and anybody that stayed through all this rambling, more power to you. But there's definitely a lot of things to think about if you're wanting to start up a YouTube channel. You know, I have created a little intro piece or two. You know, there's exit videos, and I think it helps kind of when you're making a video. Like a lot of the channels that I'll watch, these guys will put something at the front, put something at the end, kind of a little bit of a breakup, and it kind of entices, you know, it makes your video a little bit better. So that's something that I've learned, something I've started to do. But anyway, I hope everybody has enjoyed watching this. Maybe got something out of it, maybe you didn't. If you've got thoughts, leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear some tips. I would love to hear any tip that you would like to give me or anybody else on how to make their YouTube channel work a little bit better. And once again, if you enjoyed watching this, I always would love to have you to subscribe. That'll help my channel. Give me a thumbs up. That'll help the channel. Share the video. That'll help the channel. And I'll see you on the next one, and appreciate you watching once again. You guys have a great day. Thank you.